I love using bright, beautiful colors in my artwork, like this beachy wooden turtle cutout that I did a while back. And I've not made one in a while, and I probably need to make another one pretty soon. But Christmas ornaments are on my mind right now. So I wanted to try this look on some clear plastic round ornaments from Michaels. I spray painted them first with a light blue base because I thought that would help the Dollar Tree paint stick a little bit better. But I'm really not happy with the brush marks at all. So I've done paint pouring on Christmas ornaments before, and it works really, really well. So that's what I decided to do on the rest of these ornaments. I paint a little bit with water straight in the bottle, and then layer the orange and yellow in a paper cup. Now the white paint is kind of like my pillow paint. It's giving the paint in the cup something to slide over, kind of like when you grease your muffin pan before you make muffins. You don't need very much of the white paint. You don't need a traditional pillow paint. So I'm just taking my brush and just brushing along the very top of the ornament. And then I'm trying to get a little bit more yellow into my cup. The orange is tending to take over a little bit, but I really, really like the striped look. It really does look kind of like the sunset in the sky that you see, especially if there's a lot of moisture in the clouds. You really are going to see a lot of really deep, beautiful oranges and yellows and sometimes purples. And this works so well that I decided to go ahead and redo the first ornaments that I had done with the brush look, because you can see here, they really look like a hot mess. I mean, they just don't look really pleasing at all. So I'm using up all the paint in these little jars, and look at how cute this turned out. This really is a fun method to use. I love the ribboning that I'm getting. I love the different looks that I'm getting, even though they're all going to be different. I'm going to have more orange on some, I'm going to have more yellow on another, but I really, orange is not in my color wheel. Y'all know I do not work with oranges and yellows very much unless I'm doing something like this, which is more of a sunset, sunrise kind of theme. And I'm really loving it. I probably need to maybe use a little bit more yellow, not so much orange, because honestly, these are starting to look a little bit like candy corn, and I am not a big fan of candy corn. So I probably need to try something a little bit different, but I'm loving it. I really am loving it. And I am doing a little bit of touch up with my finger just to make sure that I have color all the way around the ball. And I know that, traditionally, not traditionally, but another method of doing ring pours like this is to stick the opening of the ornament on a popsicle stick and stick it in foam or whatever. But you're not going to get, if you do that, you're not going to get the side-by-side bands like I'm getting here using my nail jig. So that's why I use the nail jig, because I can get all different kinds of patterns. So now I'm just taking a little bit of white paint, and I am just putting a band of white between the orange color and then the blue, because I have a plan for that, the bottom part. And then once it was all dry, I did, wait for it to dry. I just took a black paint marker, and now I'm drawing on my palm trees. And now for some Mermaid Trash magic. And I'm going to show you my favorite way of applying the Mermaid Trash with a little bit of Aleene's tacky glue. So what I do, I take my Aleene's, I put a little bit on the bottom of the ornament. You don't really need that much, but it just depends on how much coverage you want. And then you just literally you're squishing it down into the Mermaid Trash. And you can put the Mermaid Trash, as little or as much as you want. I want the whole bottom to be covered. I want the whole, the rest of what is blue on the ornament, if that makes sense. I want that to be completely covered. So I am using a lot of Aleene's, and you can sort of see the blue peeking through just a little bit. But this is my favorite way of applying it. Otherwise, you're gonna waste a bunch of Mermaid Trash. It's gonna fly all over the place. And so this literally is the way I do it. You just have, you kind of need a bunch of Mermaid Trash in your bucket, but you just sort of just squish down just like that. That's it. It's that easy. And remember, you can make your own Mermaid Trash. and I have a video on my profile on my channel that shows you how to make it. But if you don't have access to the ingredients, you can buy it on my Etsy, and I have a link to that also in the description. Now, before you go to the next step, the Mermaid Trash needs to dry completely, and I usually will just let these sit overnight and then give it the touch test and just make sure it's dry. And then once it's dry, I just flip them over and shake off any excess Mermaid Trash. Usually there's not a whole lot. And then every once in a while you might get a little drip of glue, and you just pick that off. It comes off really, really easily. And now it's time for the next step, which is to add a little bit of embellishment. And I have a lot of little beads from Amazon, and I have a link to these beads. These are my favorite beads to use. They're like little stone turtles and little stone starfish. I have some little bitty shells that I have gathered from the beach, and I do have a link to the turtles and the starfish, but not the shells because I find those on the beach. I also am going to use UV resin for this. I have Let's Resin UV resin, and also my new Let's Resin UV curing light. And that's all I'm going to use to attach these little baubles. You just put a little bit of UV resin either on the back, or you can kind of dome the UV resin on the top and then just cure it under your light. What I like about the Let's Resin UV resin is it has a very high viscosity, so it is a little thicker than a lot of other UV resins. So once you put it on your ornament, you have a little bit of time before it starts running everywhere, and then you have a big hot mess. So I really like the Let's Resin brand. Once I was done with all the baubles, I took these outside and just sprayed them with some clear Rust-Oleum, and look how shiny they turned out. What that does is it's sealing the acrylic paint, because I'm not going to put resin over this. The clear spray paint really shines them up, and it protects the Mermaid Trash, and it protects the acrylic paint. And I don't need to add resin to it. So once all that's done, I just put the little I guess it's aluminum, the little metal caps. I put the metal caps back on, and then I just use raffia ribbon to use as a hanger. That way I can hang them on my display board at art shows, and then people can either use the raffia as is, or they can add their own hanger to hang on their Christmas tree. So let me know how you like these, and I know it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I really like it. It's still beachy, it's just not blue.